how we get to the playoffs. And these kids,
You know, you ask me a stupid question, I'll give you a stupid answer.
Hello, our audience out there. Welcome to the Hispano Chamber of Commerce Business Networking team. We're glad that you can join us. Here at the Hispano Chamber of Commerce, we are very proud to bring our businesses, our local personalities, our nonprofits, and all the different organizations that come to the Hispano Chamber of Commerce for our business networking TV experience. And today's no different. Today's actually a little different, only in one respect. We're talking about football, and football is something that gets us very excited here in Las Cruces. Today I have my guest, Chalie Minn, filmmaker from New York. So as we begin today, I'd like to give you a little update on some of the happenings in the Chamber event. My co-hosts John Munoz and Amanda Cruz were out on assignment today, and so we're going to do this the old-fashioned way, the one-on-one business networking channel. For the Hispano Chamber, I want to bring you up to speed very quickly. We still have teams available for our October 8th golf tournament at the Las Cruces Country Club. October 29th, we will have our first annual scholarship bash, and we will have that at the Farm and Ranch Museum. Tickets are available for $25 at the door and $25 at advanced and $30 at the door. We are partnering with the Tough Enough to Wear Pink group, and so we think this partnership is going to be outstanding. So October 29th. And our final event on tab right now is the November 3rd Middle School Recognition Program. And we like to make sure that you all are invited and participate in that. To our members and audience, these are three great events the Hispano Chamber of Commerce is bringing to you, and we hope that your participation, your gifts, your talents, you can call our office and be a part of that. One final note for our membership out there, remember we have the BNC channel here, we have our email blast, our Facebook, our mix and mingles for networking, and our news, and we have it out on publication today, our El Prospero is our bi-monthly newsletter that comes up. So we have things for you, we want you to be a part of that. So as we finish up the month in advance for the Hispano Chamber of Commerce, we want to change over to something that's really dear in my heart, dear to a lot of you out there, and it's high school football. One time we're Titletown, USA, where all the high schools went together and participated in one of the probably premier events, and that's a state championship. Today we have filmmaker and director of our new movie show that's coming out, called Cruces Divided, Mr. Chalie Minn. How are you, Charlie?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me, Toby.
Charlie, I want to thank you for being on the show. You and I bumped into each other at some of the teaser casting that's happening at Allen Theaters. But I want to ask you very quickly, give us a small background of this film and tell us what really motivates you to get the Cruces Divided and established here in Las Cruces.
The Las Cruces-Mayfield football rivalry has been going on since 1967. And I would classify it as historic and special because of how successful both these programs have been. Again, it all started 43 years ago when Mayfield was built. Las Cruces at the time was the only high school in town. Mayfield came around, and according to one of the speakers in the film, he said he felt that Mayfield was built with only one goal in mind, and that was to beat Las Cruces in everything, not just in football, but everything. So in the 60s is when things started. They played a couple times, and Las Cruces won the first couple games. But then in the 70s, Mayfield dominated, and it was really because of Jim Bradley. They won 8 out of the 10 meetings in the 70s. And then in the 80s, both teams kind of went down a little bit, and it wasn't until the mid-80s when things started picking up again. And then in the early 90s, Oñate High School came into the picture, and they took some athletes away, particularly from Las Cruces High. so things went down again. But since 1995, this rivalry has exploded. 10 out of the last 15 state titles have been won by either Las Cruces or Mayfield.
And that is a phenomenal number. And when you talk about explosion, you're not talking about small little firecracker explosion. We're talking about a passion. We're talking about a love of the game. And I guess the nuts and bolts of it, we're talking about a rivalry that brings 30,000 people of our community together. I think we were talking off camera and we said we were kind of cutting hairs here. 1/3 to a quarter or something of our population comes to see the biggest rivalry in all of college or high school football, correct?
Correct. No city in the nation can say that about a quarter to a third of its population goes to a high school football game. They have to move this game out of Field of Dreams to Aggie Memorial Stadium because you can't fit everybody.
Correct.
So
and we've been to a lot of those games, I can tell you. Right? We've been there. When you go to the experience, when you go to try to gather all the information that you need for a film like this, you have to go through a lot of people, a lot of historical data, and I'm sure that scientific work really gets kind of gets in your fingernails. You got to get in there and dig this stuff up. It's not easily available, is it?
Right. This was a tough film to construct. It was a colossal editing job. This is not a topic you could easily Google and all the information is right there. So you can imagine they played 45 times total because 2 of them have been playoff games. So during the 45 games, not every game is in the film. We just couldn't.
No, absolutely.
Right.
Not.
About half of the games are in the movie.
Yeah.
But while doing research for this film, it was very intense because you look at all the scores and the players, and it's easy to make a mistake. I mean, you don't want to misidentify anyone. You don't want to give the wrong year of the game. You have to find the score. What was the score during this touchdown? So, like every film I do, I really deeply immerse myself into the subject matter. And people might think, oh, it's a football movie, it should be fun and easy to do. Not in this case, because it's high school football, and I had to dig up a lot of records from both schools and from the Las Cruces Sun News. And I got a lot of help from the El Paso television market, KVIA and KTSM. So because of all that, I was able to construct about a 2-hour film. It's about 1 hour and 50 minutes, and include some of the most compelling matchups during this 43-year-old special rivalry. And it's a very emotional film. It's going to be more emotional than people think. Football's an emotional game. It should be depicted that way in a movie form.
Well, I have to give you a lot of compliments on this because you brought together things that are dear and important to Las Cruces. We got families, we've got generations of people come together. And for our audience out there, football is a very important aspect to a lot of communities, but in Las Cruces, it really brings families together. Now, we don't want to focus on division of families, but I think that rivalry is there. People know if you're from Cruces or Mayfield, and they want to make sure that's together. We're going to take a break right now, and we're going to come back, and we're going to learn a little bit more about Chalie Minn and his filmmaking career, some of his Big Apple stories, and some of his early years as a sportscaster. So don't go away. We got a great story coming up for you. Cruces Divided, the Hispano Chamber of Commerce Business Networking channel. We'll see you right back.
We get to the playoffs. With these kids, I can.
you ask me a stupid question, I'll give you a stupid answer.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I have to tell you, did you see that trailer? October 15th, you can see the movie as it comes out in its debut. But that trailer says it all, I believe. All those championships, all those people, but one city, and that city is here in Las Cruces. So, Charlie, we have you here from New York, 10-year experience, got a lot of things going on. Tell us a little bit of the things that you've done. I understand you're an actor, you've worked in other areas, you're a sportscaster. Really, what brought you to this pinnacle point?
Well, I worked in all elements of television and film. It intrigued me right off the bat. As soon as I was done with college, I went into broadcasting. I worked on the news, mainly doing sports. I worked in a small market in Kirksville, Missouri, made like no money. You have to live off of tuna fish cans at that market size,
Sure.
market 210, I think. And then I went to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, got to meet Brett Favre. And then went to Albuquerque, which is my favorite city in the world. I just love Albuquerque. Had a great time there covering the Lobos. At the time, Dennis Franchione was the head football coach, and he went on to have a pretty successful career. Dave Bliss was the basketball coach, and he didn't fare as well. And then I went to the World Wrestling Federation, worked for Vince McMahon, a very powerful businessman. And then I took some time off, went into film and television, did a lot of acting, did a lot of commercials, and suddenly wanted to direct after watching Midnight Express, the 1978 prison movie that Oliver Stone wrote. I really became interested in Oliver Stone's mind, and because of that, I've said this before, the only reason why I'm a filmmaker is because of Oliver Stone's courage.
Sure.
Some of the films he's made, you don't watch Oliver's movies, you feel them.
Well, I'll tell you, from strictly a mentorship point of view, you know, you see in your professional field the people that have done well before you. I think when we come back to this movie that you made for Las Cruces, we'll talk about the rivalry, but what we don't say as much, and I haven't seen the movie yet, but what we don't say as much is all those young men that came through the tutelage of these rivalry, through these coaches that demanded success, demanded some type of extra effort. And I have to say that, as a disclaimer, my brother is a coach at Mayfield. He is the defensive coordinator, Alfred Rue, and I know that that boy sleeps and bleeds and thinks of all the ways to make his team competitive. So I think it's important for our audience to know out there that Charlie has come here not only with, as they say, skin in the game in the film industry, but you understand what it takes to work hard at your career. And so when you see a mentor and you see those type of things out there, what small advice do you give some of our local people here in Las Cruces that are maybe thinking about going into film, working at our community college, and working with the partnerships that might bring film? Because New Mexico has a strong film industry, correct?
Well, it's building. I mean, every filmmaker gets a 25% tax rebate at the end. I think you have to be within a certain budget to get that. But my advice for novice filmmakers is just to trust your instincts and really go for it. Do things with brisk efficiency. Stop talking about things. Rather take massive action. Because if you do things with brisk efficiency and you take action, you get results.
Absolutely.
All right. I mean, so many people, they think about it and maybe they don't trust themselves or they don't think they have it in them. I say challenge yourself, trust yourself, and just go for it. You only live once, and that'd be my advice.
Well, it parallels sports, and we're going to talk about football.